welcome to Little Learners. In today's video I'm going to be talking about differentiation, what it is and how we use it in teaching. Before we get started, don't forget to click that subscribe button to join the Little Learners family, as I know many of you watching have not yet subscribed, and please do give this video a like if you find it helpful or interesting, as it really helps out the channel. So, differentiation. What does it mean? When we differentiate learning, it really just means that we are adjusting the learning so that children of all abilities can access that learning. So that might be through planning different activities for different abilities. It may be that the activity is the same, but the delivery of the lesson is different for different children. It may be that the outcome we expect is different for children of different abilities. It really does depend on the content of the lesson. It may also mean that children get different levels of support during the lesson depending on their ability. So a very simple way of explaining this is having activities for lower ability children, middle ability children and higher ability children. So maybe your higher ability children have a bit more of a challenge with their lesson and some extension work. The lower ability children might have some extra support and some extra scaffolding with their learning, which just means that they've got a little bit more support in terms of the resources that they get to use to be able to do that lesson and access that learning. Now, of course, we can't divide a class up into lower, middle and high ability, because within each of those groups there are different abilities and different needs, and there are also children with special educational needs and disabilities who won't necessarily fit into one of those categories. It's really difficult to kind of pigeonhole children into three different ability groups, but that just gives you an idea of how you can think about what your planning needs to look like. Now, coming from an early years perspective, everything is differentiated and everything is completely individual. So you have your learning, but you kind of meet every child where they are. And so in that sense, you are differentiating on an individual level. So let's think about an example of differentiated learning. We have a lesson all about addition, and our objective is for children to be able to add two numbers together and find the total. We have one child who is very confident in addition. They've shown in past lessons that they understand this skill and they're quite independent when adding numbers together. And we have another child who has really struggled with a lot of mathematical concepts in the past, and addition is certainly one of them, and they need more support. Same lesson for the children. They might have the same input, so if they're sitting on the carpet, the teacher is delivering the same input to them, but are probably asking different questions during that input to target them appropriately for each child. Then when the children go off to do an activity, they might look slightly different. So we're still keeping that same objective in mind of adding two numbers together and finding the total. The child who struggles with this concept and needs some more support may have an adult nearby who can come and help them. They may be working directly with an adult in a small group. They may have some resources, some physical resources, so maybe some counters so that they can put out the counters and really see visually how the numbers look and the quantities look. For example, if they were trying to add 4 and 3, they might put 4 counters out and then 3 counters out and then count all of the counters to come up with the total. This helps children to understand what quantity is, what it looks like and what it means to add 4 and 3 and come up with a total. So that child will be adding single digit numbers and using a range of resources and support to help them do that. The child who is very confident in this subject and in this skill might have a slightly different activity. They may well have resources to help them, like counters. They may not need them, and we may add more of a challenge for them because adding single digit numbers isn't so much of a challenge for them. So we may get them to add together 2-digit numbers, or a 1-digit number and a 2-digit number, and to find the total. We may also ask them to write out the number sentence when they've added these two numbers together. So if they're looking at a question and it says add 20 and 10 together, we might ask them to write 20 add 10 equals 30. That just adds another kind of level of challenge for them. It's all about meeting children where they are, allowing them both to explore the same objective and work towards the same objective, but in a differentiated way. So I hope that explains how children can still access the same learning, but access it in a way that challenges them and helps them improve and develop their individual skills. So as teachers, we differentiate learning all the time. In pretty much every lesson, there's a level of differentiation. It really depends on the children that you have in your class, what the content is, and what subject you're teaching. So one child who might need a lot of support in maths may not need any support and a lot of challenge and extension work in a literacy lesson. It really does just depend, and that's why it's so important for teachers to know their children well and to communicate with the teachers that they had before, so that we can paint a really clear picture of where this child is and how we can help them to develop each skill. So I hope that's given you an idea of what differentiation is and how we use it in teaching. If you have any questions, then please do leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a like if you found it helpful, and click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the Little Learners family. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.